Thank you for joining us at CGLCC's 2020 Digital LGBT Plus Global Business Summit. My name is Catherine Gross, Manager, Supplier Diversity with BMO, a proud sponsor of the summit and this next session. BMO's Supplier Diversity Program has opened doors for the LGBTQ2 community through mentorship, advocacy, and opportunities. BMO's diversity culture incorporates our Diversity and Inclusion Program, our BMO Pride Employee Resource Group, and of course, our Supplier Diversity Program. Diversity is a core value at BMO, where our vision is to be the bank that defines great customer experience. Supplier diversity is a key component of our overall diversity strategy, and using diverse suppliers is an integral part of our commitment to both meeting the needs of our customers and the communities in which BMO serves. If you haven't had the chance to read our next speaker's bio, trust me when I say it is a very impressive read. From a former member of Parliament serving as Special Advisor to the Prime Minister on LGBTQ2 matters, an Ironman triathlete, to the endless work to ensure that the LGBTQ2 community across Canada was not just supported through funding, but through positive legislative policy and program changes. It is my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Randy Boissonnault, President, Xenix Inc., who is going to give us an unstoppable talk. Thank you and enjoy the session.
Well, thanks very much, Catherine. It's a great pleasure to be here with everyone as part of the 2020 CGLCC Global Digital Business Summit. My name is Randy Boissonnault, and as we have but few short minutes together, let me cut to the chase. I'm an entrepreneur, a former member of Parliament, founder of Literacy Without Borders, an Ironman triathlon finisher, a former special advisor to the Prime Minister of Canada on LGBTQ2 issues, and a Rhodes Scholar. I'm also a devoted partner to David, son to Shirley, and uncle to Ethan, Skylar, and Andrew, the youngest of which you see here. My brother Mark and my sister-in-law Leanne round out my nuclear family. It has taken me almost 50 years to figure out how to focus on my strengths, to know what I want, to use my influence for good, and to be bold enough to make it happen, even in the face of staggering odds against. So my summarized thoughts for you on being unstoppable are as follows. Know yourself, know what you want, be bold. Now, why should you want to be unstoppable? Well, I think you should be unstoppable to use your power for good. There's also another reason, but I'm going to leave that to the end of the talk. Now, to know yourself means that you will have to dig deep and face some terrifying fears. My experience at Oxford was overshadowed by the sad truth that I never felt that I belonged at Oxford or my college Corpus Christi because I was living a lie. You see, I had a closely guarded secret, a secret that nobody could ever learn. I was living in mortal fear of admitting, even to myself, that I was gay. I feared that I would not be loved, that I would lose all my friends, that I would be shunned by my family, that I would have no job prospects, and certainly never even be able to think about a career in politics. To borrow a phrase from Oscar Wilde, I had put a lie into the lips of my own life, and in so doing, I had denied my soul. Until I met Adam, my first great male crush at Oxford. He was so charming, so handsome that I befriended him within hours of arriving at college without even knowing what I was doing. Okay, it likely took a couple of weeks, but now it seems like mere minutes. When he asked me one day to train with him at swimming, someday, I was speechless. And in fact, I think my heart stopped. And when we got into the pool, I was so captivated by his physical presence that I struggled with breathing. Now, of course, I blamed it on the pace of the swim, but I knew better. I was so deeply in the closet and he so new to attraction, feelings of attraction for other men that all we ever shared in the full 2 years that we were at Oxford together, including an entire summer, was a single kiss on the lips. Adam left college after that summer, and I've never been able to track him down since. I wondered then why I could not bring myself to cross that invisible barrier of attraction and emotion just to hold him. I see now that I truly believe that if I came out, the dreams that I had for my life would not be possible. And I know that many of the people on this webinar, many of you know that when you face these fundamental fears of identity and when you become yourself, it changes your life forever. I realized later that until I loved myself, I couldn't love another. I was right about that and wrong about everything else. Upon coming out, I was loved by my family, I was accepted by my friends, and built a career and a life in the city that I love. It's very easy to be distracted these days, even harder to know what you want from life. And that is a key component of being unstoppable. 3,000 marketing messages vie for our attention every day. Social media obligations, family, work, community, fitness, making a living. Where does it stop? And yet, you need to answer some fundamental questions. What are you trying to achieve? What do you want from life? What values will guide you on your journey? How do you want to be remembered? Once you've answered those questions, then start cutting out all of the distractions, all of the wasted time. Focus only on your goals. Write them down. Work on them a little bit each day. There's an axiom that helps me when I'm trying to, get on with my goals or actually commit to a new one. And here's the question. When is the best time to plant a tree? The answer is 20 years ago. So what happens if you didn't do it 20 years ago, like this one here in the photo? Well, just so happens the second best time to plant a tree is today. So plant a tree today, nurture it, tend to it, watch it grow. The same applies to your goals. Now, when it came for me to run for office, over the course of a single week, several factors coalesced, and I decided on the spot, on the day of the 2013 Edmonton municipal election, that I would be on the ballot in Edmonton Centre for the federal Liberals fully 2 years later. I knew my reasons for running: to flip a blue seat to red, to help Mr. Trudeau with his vision of creating a Liberal government in Canada. I assembled a team, I knocked on doors, I attended community events, I listened, and I knocked on more doors. The volunteers and the supporters amazed me. They were hungry for change, and I was the vehicle for that change. It wasn't always easy. At the beginning of the campaign, the pollsters and the pundits had written us off. We didn't have a snowball's chance in hell. My critics were more blunt and some overtly discriminatory. One of them at lunch looked me right in the eye and said, "Are you kidding me? You're a Liberal, you're French, and you're gay. You stand absolutely no chance in hell of getting elected here in Edmonton. You might as well go back to Montreal, where you're from, and run there." Now, the irony is that my parents and I were all born in Alberta, and my family isn't from Montreal. It's from outside of Quebec City, some 125 years ago. The week after we won, I sent that man a postcard with a big rainbow flag on the front and the word bonjour. Inside I wrote, "Looking forward to seeing you for lunch soon. Best regards, Randy Boissonnault, Member of Parliament, Edmonton Centre." On October 19th, 2015, I won the election, and that night I became the first openly gay Member of Parliament ever elected from Alberta. This photo proves, take a look at that. There you go, House of Commons and pride scarf and everything. Now, when it comes to being bold, throughout your careers, naysayers will attempt to slow you down. They will tear at your dreams and label you as foolish or simply crazy. Share your plans only with those people who are going to believe in you. Ignore the doubters. It's that simple. I was told that singing was for girls and that it was a waste of time, but I loved to sing, so I kept on doing it. At church, in school plays, as songmaster of my fraternity, and for 11 years in a Francophone community choir right here in Edmonton. I became a tenor ringer, called on for special assignments, and when my former choir and I performed at Carnegie Hall in New York City in May of 2018, all the naysayers could say was, would you look at that? Boissonnault got to sing at Carnegie Hall. I guess all that practice paid off. I was told not to apply for the Rhodes Scholarship. I smiled, I applied, went to Oxford. I was told that building my company would be too hard. They were almost right. But like so many of you, I persevered, toiled, smiled, and have enjoyed some success. I was told that the Ironman triathlon would be too difficult. You see, I was the fat kid growing up here in rural Alberta, and into my 30s, I hadn't yet learned to swim, and I didn't have a bike, and, well, quite frankly, I'd never run a marathon. But I learned, and I finished the Ironman triathlon in Penticton in 2007 in 15 hours, 15 minutes, in memory of my sister Lisa, crossing the finish line there with my mom and dad. They said I was crazy to try to apply literacy lessons from here in Canada to a country that sorely needed literacy development. So I got on a plane and went to Belize and went on a Rotary literacy project. And 2 years later, we created Literacy Without Borders. And that NGO has since helped thousands of Belizeans learn to read, to get a job, and to lead a better life. I was told that I was crazy to raise the pride flag on Parliament Hill. And after 6 weeks of legwork, the Prime Minister himself strode to the lawn of the Parliament building, and in front of 400 cheering onlookers, we demonstrated our pride and our commitment to diversity. I also remember being advised that creating a global network of LGBTI parliamentarians and our allies simply wasn't needed. If it were needed, they said, it would already have been created. I smiled. I rejected the premise. And I sought out a former UK cabinet minister, my friend Nick Herbert, who had created a 2,000 parliamentarian strong tuberculosis caucus. Together, we launched the Global Equality Caucus. It launched at World Pride in New York in June of 2019, and it continues to grow, as you can see from this mission, to Ottawa in February of this year. Friends, these are simply the experiences of someone who is strong-willed, focused, and who doesn't take no for an answer. Deep character flaws, to be sure, yet they have served me well. Each of you has memories of your own success in the face of opposition and adversity. Make more such memories. So now you have a sense of how I was unstoppable. But why am I so, and why should you want to be unstoppable? Well, it may go without saying, but some people are unstoppable in the wrong direction. They have the wrong aims in mind. They choose to divide, to sow dissent, to tear people and systems apart. My mission in life has always been to be a builder, to use my energy, talent, and vitality to improve my community and to make things better. From the moment I learned that I'd been chosen as one of the 1994 Rhodes Scholars, the question that I kept asking myself was, how would I ever repay society for the amazing opportunity of studying at Oxford? Well, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau helped me to answer in great part that 20-year-long question by appointing me as his special advisor on LGBTQ2 issues. Here was a golden opportunity to shape policy, to influence decision-making, to advise the Prime Minister of my own country on issues that matter deeply to me and to millions of Canadians and to millions of others around the world. So we got busy. We delivered. And yet much work remains. On banning conversion therapy. On ending youth homelessness. On making sure that LGBTI seniors are no longer recloseted in this country when they go to seek a long-term care facility or simply a senior's residence in which to live. We have to address the attacks that are taking place internationally on LGBTI communities using the cover of COVID-19 pandemic as a ruse to do so. The list remains long. And yet, despite great odds, we made great changes. In my time as special advisor, we delivered an historic apology to LGBTQ2 Canadians and a $145 million class action settlement, including $15 million for community initiatives and a memorial to on the National Capital Region that is yet to come. We passed legislation to protect trans people and to enable people to expunge their records of any criminal charges simply for consensually loving someone of the same sex. As for funding, we created a $20 million fund for LGBTQ2 community-based organizations in Canada that will grow to $50 million over 5 years. We also created the Canada Fund that will invest $30 million over 5 years and $10 million a year ongoing to support LGBTI rights around the world. We launched Canada's first LGBTQ2 trade mission and took 15 LGBT plus businesses to Philadelphia in 2018. I can't wait to be able to do that with you once again. This past week has shown us just how much more work we have to do to combat racism and inequality. We must look at our businesses and our supply chains through an intersectional lens. Our businesses and our corporations must be diverse by design. The Prime Minister has pledged the creation of an anti-racism secretariat. This is substantial and it will make a material difference. Without the LGBTQ2 secretariat, very few of the accomplishments I mentioned would ever have been possible. The government is serious about ending racism. So must we be as business owners and corporate leaders. We must ensure an equitable recovery out of COVID, and more to wit, we must reach out to people of color who have not historically been welcome or part of our small, medium, and large businesses in Canada. If the supplier diverse network cannot be in the vanguard of this change, then how can we ask the rest of Canada to lead? This reflection leads me to the other fundamental reason why it can be useful to be unstoppable. In 2017, I was able to return to Oxford, and on this visit, I spoke at the first student-led LGBTI organization meeting organized by Student Rhodes Scholars. The visit took place during University Pride Month in the UK. And as I drove into Oxford, I saw pride flags everywhere, from the college, from the high street, from the dorms, and I thought, my, how far we have come. But to me, the most striking part of that trip was when I got to have brunch with a 20-year-long friend of mine, Imogen, who since was married and had two beautiful boys, Benjamin 6 and Sevington 2, who you see here. And earlier that week, Sevi and Imogen had been walking around, and he kept asking about the rainbow flags. And so Imogen, like a good law professor, spent 20 minutes explaining to her 2-year-old what the rainbow flag meant. And then after, like a good law professor, Imogen said, "Sevi, tell mommy you understood what I just told you." And his answer so completely floored her that at brunch, Imogen turned to me and said, she turned to Sevi and said, "Sevi, tell Uncle Randy what the rainbow flag means to you." And he looked at me with his big, beautiful brown eyes. And he said, "All the peoples." All the peoples. If a 2-year-old can get it, certainly the rest of us can. We are all connected. COVID shows us just how connected we are. This summit gives us the promise of being even more connected. Use the power of business and the power of connection to bring positive change to all the peoples. Know yourself, know what you want, be bold, do good deeds, and do not rest until we have served all the peoples. And in so doing, you will truly be unstoppable. Thank you very much.